Hello, folks. Welcome. Welcome to Dangerous Ideas. I'm Lee Camp, and I'm back from hiatus. Thank you for being here. I'm back to my full schedule now. Let's do it. Just getting some things lined up here, but thank you for being here. Please click subscribe, click share, and we're gonna. I'm excited to be back. I am not excited to be talking about, of course, the main topics we have to talk about. It seems every week, which is the genocide in Gaza. I'm going to be talking about new evidence that 400,000 people have been killed in Gaza. I'm going to be talking about Israel's vote to annex the West Bank. I'm going to be talking about so much more. Oh, yeah, new revelations. We actually finally have the receipts showing that even internally in our government, they knew Russiagate was bullshit the entire time. We now have those receipts. As opposed to just knowing it and showing all of the evidence that was publicly available, now we have their internal analysis of them going, yeah, we're making all this shit up, right? Yeah, okay, got it? Yeah, made up. Yep, I'm just making sure. Yeah. I got that. I got some stuff on Colbert's cancellation. So much coming at you. So let's get started. Please share. Please let people know. Let people know I'm back to my full schedule. We're going, man. We're going. But let's start with, this is coming from Stephen Donziger, famed lawyer. I've been covering his story and his stories for years now. I believe I was one of the first to be in independent media to be covering his fight with Chevron down in Ecuador. He ultimately won that case for billions of dollars against Chevron for polluting the indigenous people there, killing over 1,000 people. And then Chevron came after him in the United States and successfully took his law degree, successfully got him put on house arrest for, it was either 2 or 3 years, something like that. He's now free, but he doesn't have his law license because he went up against one of the largest, most powerful corporations in the world. And that's what they do. Anyway, this does not have to do with oil or Chevron. This is Stephen Donziger's analysis that Israel has killed 20%. But he's using the statistics from the Lancet Medical Journal. 20% of Gaza's population, which is way more than what we've been told. This would be 434,000 Gazans murdered by Israel during this genocide. And you'll remember that the number that we have as to how many have died, well, you hear the number 55,000 thrown around a bunch, but that is just the number killed by bombs and shooting. That does not include all of the indirect, they call them indirect deaths. But of course, when you are intentionally starving people, it is still direct death, really. But indirect deaths, which include famine and disease, that are tactics of war. Those are tactics of war by Israel. And so when you calculate those in, the Lancet Medical Journal, as you'll recall, a year ago, said it was 186,000 Gazans had possibly been killed by direct and indirect. 186,000. That was a year ago. But now here is Stephen Donziger saying it is probably likely 434,000 people murdered. And here is where they get that data. According to a statistical model developed by the prestigious medical journal called the Lancet, the country's military started the genocide on October 8th, 2023, really October 7th, because they killed half the people, or probably well over half the people on October 7th. So they really started at October 7th. But anyway, 20% of Gaza's entire pre-conflict population are dead. Over half of those are women and children. In February of this year, Stephen Donziger, and I covered it back then as well, Stephen Donziger wrote that roughly 300,000 Palestinians had been killed by indirect or indirect slaughter. The latter, indirect, of starvation, disease, or lack of health care. And here's how one arrives at 434,000 dead in Gaza. First, the medical journal Lancet conservatively estimated, and it was peer-reviewed analysis back in June 2024, over a year ago, 186,000 Gazans had died or been killed. The Lancet found that on average, 732 people died every day from direct and indirect causes since Israel started attacking Gaza. This amounts to 594 total days of killing because there's been various ceasefires. So he's subtracting the ceasefires. Thank you, Dan, for supporting the show. Really appreciate it as I get back into it. Thank you so much. Goddamn right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So 594 days of total killing because he's subtracting the ceasefire days when there was not direct killing. Based on the Lancet's data, if 732 people died a day on 594 total days of killing, that is 434,800 people murdered. Now, you may say, but Lee, or rather, but Donziger, not every single day has had the same amount of bombing. And that's true. These are averages. However, also not every single day has had the same amount of starvation. The 186,000 that was accounted for a year ago was well before a lot of the starvation kicked into high gear. Nowadays, we see people starving to death, mainly children and elderly, on a daily basis. Hundreds this week alone, starving to death. And so that number has skyrocketed compared to a year ago. So maybe there's fewer bombs landing, but there's a much larger number of those starving. And Israel, the reason Israel's doing it this way is because they want to pretend that those who are starving to death are, don't really count or aren't part of the genocide. But of course it is. It's a tactic of war. Israel's doing it intentionally. So when you hear them throw around these numbers, 55,000 killed in Gaza, it's really well into hundreds of thousands of people murdered by the U.S. and Israel a daily basis. And that goes for Trump or Biden. The Uniparty doesn't care. Uniparty don't care about genocide. Uniparty love genocide. Here's from UNRWA, which, as you recall, it's the portion of the UN that it was delivers aid to Palestinians, and yet it was so large before October 7th that it was basically the size of a nation. It was billions and billions of dollars, endless amount of medical care and food given out, and now they've succeeded. Israel succeeded at largely crushing UNRWA. Which, of course, is crushing the lives of many. But anyway, UNRWA's director, Felipe Lazzarini, sorry about that, paints a bleak picture of the famine in Gaza. People in Gaza are neither alive nor dead, he says. They're walking corpses. I was told by a colleague this morning, most of the children our staff see are emaciated, weak, and at high risk of dying without urgent treatment. UNRWA workers in Gaza are forced to survive on one small meal a day, usually lentils. Some days they don't eat at all. And it is increasingly common for them to faint from hunger while at work. That's a UN agency. Israel is starving to death a UN agency. They've also tortured them and murdered, bombed them, but and getting away with it. At least in many ways, getting away with it. Absolutely fucking incredible, the level of devastation. Let me bring you a little bit of good news on this. Brazil has joined, or is in the process of joining, South Africa's case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. The case for genocide. Brazil's foreign minister said it was in the final stages of submitting its official application to the court. There's a quote from them. The Brazilian government announces that it is in the final stages of submitting a formal intervention in the ongoing case at the ICJ brought by South Africa under the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. The Brazilian government expresses deep indignation at recurring episodes of violence against the civilian population in the state of Palestine, not limited to the Gaza Strip, but extending to the West Bank. And yes, the attacks on the West Bank are gearing up as well. By the way, StreamYard has a new feature where I can put your comments on stage, as they say, on the screen. And I'm going to try it a little. If it distracts me too much, or if we have loads of shitheads, then I will remove it, or the moderator will remove it or something. Maybe I'll just remove it because I can't concentrate at the moment. So don't get offended if I take it down. But anyway, and those of you who throw in super chats will, of course, be highlighted on the big stage. You'll get the big highlight. All right, none of this little highlight for you. No, we're talking big highlight. And to everybody who's in there listening to the podcast, you have no idea what the hell we're talking about, which is how I like it. I like to really fuck up the podcast. More information on Gaza. No aid supplies are left, and the staff are starving in Gaza, says the Norwegian Refugee Council. They're one of the largest, or were one of the largest aid groups in Gaza, and they're saying they have nothing. They say our last tent, our last food parcel, our last relief items have all been distributed. There is nothing left, and now their staff is starving as well. This is what your tax dollars are going to. As our government goes after the poor inside our own country, this is where your tax dollars are going. As people starve and die of lack of health care in the United States, this is where your tax dollars are going, to help destroy the Gazan people and the Palestinian people. Now, I wanted to highlight this for a few reasons. This next part, I put up an image just a few hours ago of an AI image. Yeah, I am incapable of creating this image on my own. Big surprise. I tweeted out an image of Taylor Swift walking through the rubble of Gaza and said, Taylor Swift goes to Gaza to bring attention to the genocide. And some people are actually dumb enough, to believe it. Not too many of those, but some people are dumb enough to get angry that I'm joking about a genocide. Someone said, hey, how dare you joke about a genocide? That's not what this is. This is satire designed to bring people's attention to something. And the point of the photo, and I know all of you get it because you're smarter than whoever these idiots are commenting, but the point is to ask yourself, why is this not common? And I know they can't get into Gaza proper probably, but they could be outside. They could be in Israel. They could be at the fence. They could be live streaming the biggest platforms in the world, the biggest artists in the world. Why are the A-listers in our world, the number of them that are talking about this genocide on a regular basis? I don't mean they made one comment once. I mean a regular basis. I could list them on one hand. The number of people with the largest platforms in the world. It's been almost, 2 years of genocide. And how much genocide do you have to see before you want to use, tell your Instagram followers about it? And I don't know what Taylor Swift said. Maybe she's tweeted out one thing. Who knows? I have no idea. But my point is, these people could be there, like at least on the outside of it. And man, would it make a difference. Man, would it have a fucking impact. Kylie Jenner and Drake and all the biggest people, biggest platforms in the world. No, Dwayne The Rock Johnson's too busy promoting tequila to ever say anything about genocide. Anyway, that was the point of that image. I don't know who, I don't quite understand people who are dumb enough to think it's just mocking. It's just mocking. Yeah, you know me, just mocking the genocide. That's what I do all the time. All right, so let's move on. Please click thumbs up, click subscribe. Let's get this show rolling again after my hiatus. It was too long. I was away. I missed you guys. And I so far I like having your comments on the screen, at least for the moment. Maybe I'll change my mind when we get a troll. And I'll be like, all right, enough of the comments on the screen. But so far, I'm enjoying it. And that gives you more reason to watch live. For those of you who don't watch this live, try and make it live, 3 p.m. Eastern. Anyway, let's move on to Israel's. I mean, nothing Israel does is insane anymore. It's just they're all sociopaths, all the ruling elite of Israel. So it's like, are you shocked by anything? I'm surprised they don't have a vote to say we're going to drop atomic bombs on. I mean, they have dropped 5-6 times worth. The bomb in Hiroshima on Gaza so far. So I'm surprised they don't have that vote. Anyway, they just had a vote the other day. I think it was yesterday. They voted to approve the annexation of the West Bank. Annexation is a fancy colonial term that means stealing. They voted to approve the full theft of the West Bank. Now, it's a symbolic vote. It does not have power, but it shows just how sociopathic the Israeli parliament is. Knesset lawmakers voted 71-13 in favor of the motion on Wednesday, a non-binding vote which calls for applying Israeli sovereignty to Judea, Samaria, and the Jordan Valley, the Israeli terms for the area. And so not only are they saying they will steal the West Bank, but also portions of Jordan. The motion advanced by Prime Minister Netanyahu's coalition is declarative and has no direct legal implications, though it could place the issue of annexation theft on the agenda of future debates in the parliament. And we should also throw in here that they, of course, have been stealing this land for years. This is a new aspect to vote to annex the entire West Bank, but they have been doing it via settlerism, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Now, the term settler in this case is a euphemism. It's utter bullshit. Don't call them settlers. Call them land pillagers, land thieves. It is basically using the Israeli military to go into an area, into a town, claim it for Israel, and basically say, what are you going to do about it? And if the Palestinians who live there actually fight back, then they'll be shot and killed or disappeared and tortured. So they've been using settlers to go into these areas and steal the land. And thank you to those of you in the chat who are listing the A-listers, the A-list celebrities who are actually standing up against this genocide on a regular basis. I mean, I could have listed some myself, but I did not do that. But yeah, Roger Waters, Susan Sarandon, Mark Ruffalo, Javier Bardem has gotten into it, I think, more recently. I played a clip of Javier Bardem the other day, just shutting down The View. The ladies on The View didn't know what to do with Javier Bardem talking about the genocide in Gaza and saying, what the fuck are we doing about children dying of starvation? And then they started playing theme music, like playing him into commercial, like it was the Oscars or something. Oh, that's lovely. We'd love to have you back. We have to go to a soap commercial. We have to go to a commercial about the new cell phone carrier that you can get, about pills you can take for your dick. Okay, we got it. Yeah, you wrap this up about the genocide. We have to go to the dick commercial, please. Please, can we? That's what they did. Anyway, please keep listening. If you've got other A-listers, I don't think there are many. Mandy Patinkin, I've been covering him. I don't know if I'd call him an A-lister. I love the guy. Look, Princess Bride, excellent movie. Goddamn, excellent movie. I don't know if I'd call him an A-lister. I don't know if I'd do it. I'm sorry. I don't know if CSI or whatever he was on is I don't know if that counts. Okay. Columbia University has decided to, of course, cave to all of fascist Trump's demands and is suspending and expelling students. They've also put in new aspects into their bylaws that basically say if you stand up against genocide, it's anti-Semitism. And so they're just caving to Trump and his fascism, which is what was done in the German society under Hitler. So we're seeing the ruling elite do that as well. Columbia University announced disciplinary action Tuesday against students who participated in a pro-Palestinian demonstration inside the Ivy League school's main library in May, and also other encampment protests. A student activist group said nearly 80 students were told they had been suspended for 1 to 3 years or expelled. The action for peaceful protest, which is supposedly allowed at these universities. I went to one of them, not Ivy League. But I went to a university, and supposedly they allow peaceful protest as long as you aren't tackling people and stopping them get from classes. They supposedly allow it, but no, now you're expelled for it. The action comes as the Manhattan University is negotiating with President Trump to restore $400 million in federal funding. It all comes down to the Benjamins, doesn't it? Which is being withheld from them due to their failure to handle the student protests, which in fact, after Columbia was criticized for allowing the protesters, they then sent in the NYPD. Rather, it was like within weeks of the protest starting, they sent in the NYPD to attack these kids and arrest them. So was that not handling it enough for you? No? The administration pulled the funding from Columbia, canceling grants and contracts in March because of what it described as the university's failure to squelch anti-Semitism. That's right, because now, and remember, this is coming from a Jew, now we call any criticism of Israel anti-Semitism. Don't you dare say this is genocide or you are against the Jewish people. So this is just more caving to Trump. And in a few minutes, I'm going to talk a bit about Colbert and Paramount caving to Trump as well. You've, of course, seen that news. We'll be getting to that in a few minutes. Please, everyone, click thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't. Also, join my free newsletter. You can do that by texting the word unredacted to 33777. A new episode of Unredacted will come out this coming Thursday. We'll be doing that as well. But before I get back to Colbert and what has gone on with his show, man, I'm going to bring you some aspects of it. Coming from a comedian that has been canceled, that has had my show destroyed, that has had most of my career destroyed, thanks to speaking out, thanks to standing up and standing for what's right in this world, standing for peace, standing against destructive capitalism. It's coming from such a person. I have some aspects of the Colbert cancellation that you will not hear on your mainstream media, even though much of liberal media is very upset about Colbert getting canceled. I have some aspects that you won't get from them. But before I get to that, I want to also talk about, actually, there's a relation, because why was I canceled? Because I was canceled for speaking out against those things, but also because my TV show, Redacted Tonight, my old TV show, Redacted Tonight, was at RT America. And RT America was completely shut down. Now, that was connected to the new Cold War against Russia, which, of course, is tied intimately with Russiagate. Russiagate was designed to do two things. One, make the country believe that Trump didn't actually win the election, right? It was rigged by Russia. But also, and perhaps more importantly in some regards, it was designed to create this new Cold War against Russia, to justify the proxy war in Ukraine that they knew was upcoming, to justify sanctions against Russia, to justify cutting off business with Russia, all of those things. And it succeeded. It succeeded in a large portion of it. To this day, most Americans believe that Russia, at minimum, hacked the DNC and at maximum rigged the election for Donald Trump in 2016. Even though it's all been debunked and it's all been proven false. And I was talking about this on day one. No one told me I needed to talk about it. I went after it immediately because I knew it was bullshit immediately. And as I've told everybody a million times, I was given complete freedom at RT America. I was never told to say anything or not to say anything. So if I had chosen not to talk about Russiagate and how much bullshit it was, they wouldn't have said anything to me. I was entitled to do that. But I knew it was other horseshit, and I called it other horseshit. And here we are now today. In certain ways, this is the first time, but I guess there's been other receipts. But in certain ways, it's the first time of the actual receipts showing that even in the government, they knew it was bullshit. Even internally, they knew they had nothing. Now, unfortunately, this is thanks to Tulsi Gabbard, who has become Repulsi Gabbard. She's become her alter ego in this bizarro world, Repulsi Gabbard. So cool. Anyway, Repulsi Gabbard has done a 180 on just about everything she ever stood for. But even a blind squirrel does something now and again. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut sometimes and does, and when Trump does something positive, I speak out about it. I will give him credit where it's due. The problem is 99% of the time it's not due. So, but anyway, Tulsi Gabbard has released more evidence about just how fake Russia was because, and you guys probably know this aspect of it, but this was being done by, yes, the Democrats, by the mechanism that the Democrats had control of at the time, which was also the DOJ, the FBI, etc. And now that mechanism is run by Donald Trump and Repulsi Gabbard. And so they can, I guess if I'm going to give her a nickname, I got to give him it. So Donald Dump. I don't know. It's by Donald Dump and Repulsi Gabbard. But so they now have access to the receipts, to the data, to the internal filings of that time. And they can go through those. And anyway, this is now maybe this changing. Maybe more people are reporting on this. But when I did a search for this news story, there was nothing from really mainstream. I had to go to AOL, which I didn't even know existed. I didn't know AOL. By the way, I only get to view this news article for the next hour because I only have 10 hours left on my AOL DVD. So my AOL CD that they sent me 100,000 free hours. I only got 10 hours left. So yeah, I can only show you this news article for another hour. Those of you old enough to get that joke, I really appreciate you right now. I see you right now if you got that joke. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard on Friday released what she called overwhelming evidence showing former President Barack Obama and his national security team manufactured and politicized intelligence after Trump's 2016 victory. The file revealed not only that there was no evidence Trump was acting as a Russian asset, but also no evidence Russia planned to use cyber means or directly manipulate the actual vote count to sway the election. I'm not going to go through all of the details about everything that has been proven false from Russiagate because I spent, I don't know what it's been, 9 years doing it. So I'm done going through all that. I will just give you the 1 minute overview, which is you remember that it was claimed that Russia hacked the DNC and then leaked those emails via WikiLeaks. And those emails were what sunk Hillary's chances of getting elected. That was one of the big things. It was perhaps the biggest thing. There were other things like, oh, Russia had Facebook ads when in fact 56% of all the Facebook ads were after the election. And most of them didn't even seem to clearly be pushing for one candidate or another. They were kind of garbage. It was clickbait. So it was, again, that was bullshit as well. But one of the major things was, oh, the DNC was hacked, which the DNC was either hacked or leaked. We know that, right? The emails came out via WikiLeaks. Now, the emails from WikiLeaks showed true corruption. They showed Hillary Clinton and the DNC being breathtakingly corrupt. So they showed true corruption. But forget all that. Don't worry about that, right? Just get angry at Russia because they're the ones who hacked it and revealed the emails via WikiLeaks. And by the way, Julian Assange has always said that the emails did not come from WikiLeaks. And also, people with expertise in computers and hacking and those kind of things have given the evidence that it was not a hack, it was a leak. And furthermore, the head of CrowdStrike, when he was interviewed, which was the only person to investigate, the only group to investigate this was a company that was hired by the DNC. That's odd. He said they found no evidence that Russia had, quote, exfiltrated any data, meaning grabbed any data, which that means the leak could not have come from them. So it means it was leaked from the inside. So I don't know there's something in my throat. It's just, I might be allergic to something in this room. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure. Anyway, someone leaked it from the DNC. But here's the key part, which is the key receipt that is new. This is the new part that we've just learned in the past few days. The memo accompanying the declassified file accused the DNI and the Department of Homeland Security of withholding key evidence, leaving out in their press release that the FBI and the NSA, the two key agencies in charge of figuring out whether Russia hacked the DNC, the FBI and the NSA had only, quote unquote, low confidence in blaming Russia for data leaks in September 2016, just weeks before the election. Low confidence. And you've got to remember, this is during a fury in the news cycle about how Russia hacked or leaked the emails and transcripts, the emails. And you could go back right now. They leave them up. They leave them up so you can keep seeing their crimes, which I like that. The New York Times, you go back and see every New York Times headline saying Russia leaked the emails, Russia hacked the DNC. You could go watch probably 92,000 hours of Rachel Maddow on one of the largest TV stations in the world telling everyone Russia hacked the DNC. Meanwhile, the fucking FBI and the NSA say, yeah, we got really kind of low confidence on this. And by the way, they shredded all the evidence. Donna Brazile, who was head of the DNC, said live on television, what happened to the servers? She was asked. Oh, we got rid of them. We shredded them. Why would you shred computer servers that are the scene of a crime? Oh, maybe to cover up your crime. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you. The memo also claimed deep state officials in the intelligence community began leaking blatantly false intelligence to the Washington Post in December, which, yeah, Washington Post, another one that just was covering this endlessly false stories. Those officials told the Post that Russia had used cyber means to sway the outcome of the election, and the CIA had concluded in a secret assessment that Russia intervened to help Trump. Of course, there's no evidence then nor now that Russia does any better with Trump at the helm. Russia had more sanctions put on it under Trump in his first term than they had previously. Trump put more sanctions on them. Also, Trump withheld missiles to Ukraine for about 8 seconds during his last reign, and then he gave in and sent the missiles to Ukraine. So there's no evidence why it'd be good for Russia to have Trump at the helm. Other than that, he just fucking sucks, and they're excited to have someone who sucks. But anyway, but there it is, the receipts that I've been right for 9 years, and that my career was destroyed on a complete and utter lie. Of course, my career was destroyed for more than just that, but I continue to be suppressed to this day in a very heavy way. So that's why I need you guys. I need you guys to keep spreading the word that I am still here. I've been doing this every day, goddammit. Okay, let's move on to the video of the troops in Los Angeles questioning why the hell they were in Los Angeles. As you recall, Trump sent the National Guard to Los Angeles. It's one of the only times in the U.S.'s history that military has been sent to a state without their request. Most of the time, or all, like 99% of the time, the National Guard goes somewhere, it's because the state has asked for National Guard. And this time, absolutely no request for military personnel. And furthermore, if you watch like the clips or the videos or you talk to people who were down there, there was no reason for them to be down there. The cops were brutal enough. The cops had the situation handled, beating protesters and arresting them. But anyway, Ken Klebenstein has put up some videos. And besides, it's a little bit, the troops are a little bit, they know they're on camera, so they're not going to say anything that outrageous. But it's a little bit them questioning why they were there. But it's more so, I feel like what you'll get from this is they kind of don't know why. Like, they're not anti-military. These are all kids, mainly kids, that signed up. And they're all mostly proud to be in the military. They're just kind of like, yeah, we just kind of stood there. Anyway, you'll see.
I'd say a lot of the action, quote unquote, has died down quite a bit. So a lot of it is just us showing our presence. I'd say a lot.
So there's one of them saying that it's just us showing our presence, which, yeah, it's a military state trying to prove to average people that they are a military state, says a military state, and they will use the largest military in the world to shut down largely peaceful protest. And I know you can point to the car on fire video and say, look, not peaceful, not peaceful. But you know how easy it is to like infiltrate that shit? You know how easy it is to go down to a peaceful protest and set a car on fire and say, look, violence. Also, violence against property is different than violence against people. But anyway, we'll save that for another day.
I think we all feel a little bit anxious about why we're here.
Yeah, I'd say that's true. Because why the hell were you there?
Our job currently is to stay out here. We are doing patrolling, we're doing training, possibly to be on mission with law enforcement and other federal government agencies. At first, it was a little scary, not knowing what I'm jumping into.
Yeah, and that's another reason it's insane to send military down there, is because these are young people. I would venture to say almost everyone in these clips is under 25, but young people who are not, I mean, they're not even, not that I would want professional military there, military guys who are like full-time there. I don't want that either. But these are people who often are not even in uniform. They're usually called to haul logs in a hurricane. And, you know, back during the horror of the Iraq War, they were suddenly sent into real military situations, and many of them were horrified to have been sent to the insane invasion of Iraq. But most of the time, these are the people that are sent to lift up logs in hurricane zones. And here they are pointing guns at 99% peaceful protesters. Sounds like just an awesome plan. I mean, it shows the crumbling of the U.S. state, so there's that.
For me, I love being activated. It's my second activation, another deployment sadly, but I was activated earlier this year in January for the fire missions, and it's kind of odd to be back down in LA so soon, but I don't mind. It's really fun to be out supporting what's supposed to be, an important mission, making sure everything's safe.
It's really fun. I like this guy because he actually tells the truth about why people join up for the military. You'll see in a second that all the propaganda works, all the bullshit works, all the Hollywood movies work. And this guy is a perfect example.
Supporting what's supposed to be, an important mission, making sure everything's safe, or making sure the civilians are safe, making sure we're safe, and everything. I love wearing this uniform. Sorry, I enlisted with the Army because I saw all the fun stuff when I was growing up, all the ads, the Michael Bay movies, the Call of Duty, and so I still have pride in this uniform. I'm still sort of new to the Army though, so it's 2 years, so everything still has this gold wrapper to it, really.
So
I love, and
he loves the uniform. He loves being signed up. But the best part of that clip to me is where he says Michael Bay movies got him into the military. I know Michael Bay is all his movies are utter garbage. If you ever seen one, it's basically just a seizure. But I know he did the Transformer movies and everything. If you want colorful seizures, then go to a Michael Bay movie. But this is exactly who's in National Guard, who's in a lot of our military. It is often poor kids who view this as a way out of their poverty situation in an entrenched class structure. But on top of that, they've seen all the fun ads. Call of Duty, he mentioned. Call of Duty, the game. Yeah, I want to sign up for that. I'm going to go do the Call of Duty thing and be like the Transformers. And it fucking works. The propaganda works to get people to sign up to go kill other people. Like, I think a lot of people think that ads are like, oh, that I would never buy what an ad tells me to buy, man. I don't give in to the mental manipulation. No, they work. Why do you think they spend billions of dollars a year on this shit? Because it works. It gets people to buy the stuff. It gets people to sign up for the military. It gets people to do it. And this is the same reason that they do everything they can, meaning the power structures that do everything they can to stop ads for things they don't like. Like, You don't see a lot of ads to get out of capitalism. You don't see a lot of ads for how to be a conscientious objector for the military. They do not allow that kind of shit because ads work. Yeah. The advertising is so powerful, and they slip it in there. You probably see fewer ads that just say sign up for the military. All right, hoorah! Like, you probably see fewer ads like that because they've realized what works better is to just have propaganda and military agenda slipped into every movie, everything you see, every TV show you see. Good luck turning on a TV show without there being some little propaganda put in there. Sometimes large scale. But like half of all shows are about police or CIA or MI6 or whatever, James Bond. Even the ones that kind of you think they're like about to criticize the military or something, then it comes around and then there are good military guys. Okay. Every Marvel movie. Another reason that they all have the military propaganda in there is because in order to use, most of these movies have some military in there, like at some moment that a tank will roll in or an MRAP or someone will be in a military uniform or someone will take off in a military helicopter. In order to use those, vehicles, to use those uniforms, to use all of that stuff, they have to get approval from the Pentagon. The Pentagon only lends out those things if they have approval for the script. So that's another one of the big reasons that there's also they give them massive discounts. So it's far cheaper to make a movie with the Pentagon than it is to make a movie against the Pentagon. Okay. Let's keep moving. And I told you this was an epic episode. Did I not say this would be an epic episode? I don't know if I did, actually, but I'm saying it now. Again, thank you guys for joining me. I am back full time. Thank you for putting up with the hiatus. I needed it. But also, there'll be a new Unredacted tonight this coming Thursday. And I would love for you to support my show by becoming an actual paying member for the whopping cost of $6 a month. $6, like 38 cents an episode. That's how much it would take to keep this show going at a regular clip. And you can do it at LeeCamp.net, my locals page, or you can do it on Patreon, patreon.com/LeeCamp. Another reason to sign up is that it was my birthday the other day. So do it for my birthday. Here, how about this? Do it for 1 month and then cancel it. So you will have donated 1 month worth $6. You'll become a member for 1 month. And then if you feel like you can cancel it, and that'll be my birthday gift. How about that? Huh? You can do that at LeeCamp.net, locals page, or patreon.com/LeeCamp. I'm also giving away more stuff than I ever have recently for joining up. You get both my ebooks, Dangerous Ideas and Bullet Points and Punchlines. You get all 3 of my Zoom comedy specials that are not available anywhere else. For those of you who attended the Zoom comedy specials live, you can tell people how much fun it was. I think people really enjoyed it. Anyway, you'll get all 3 of those. The links will be sent to you when you sign up, and you can't get those anywhere else. Plus, you get exclusive content. Anyway, all right, let's keep going. I'm going to bring you some information about the end of Colbert that I don't think many other people are talking about. But yes, for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure you all do, Colbert's show is ending at the end of his contract, which they said is May. So I guess he's on for another year almost. But anyway, and it comes 3 days after he mocked the parent company, Paramount, for giving a giant bribe to Donald Trump, because Paramount is selling itself in more ways than one. Is selling itself to Skydance. And that's the thing nowadays. There are companies you've never heard of that are more powerful than like the legacy media companies. So Paramount is selling itself to Skydance, and it wants that merger to go through. It's worth billions of dollars. And so it paid Trump a settlement in his defamation suit against them. They paid a settlement of, I don't know if it has it here, like 16 million maybe. Maybe it's not in this article. There it is, $16 million settlement. And Colbert rightfully called it a bribe. Trump had sued Paramount or CBS for billions of dollars or whatever, because Trump likes to shoot high, and then if he gets 16 million, he's like, well, threatening them with billions made them give me 16 million. Anyway, he was suing them for defamation for that edited Kamala Harris interview. But apparently lawyers that have really looked into it say that there's no way they would have lost that. So it seems almost 100% they were not going to actually lose that defamation trial if it went to trial. So why pay him the settlement then? Well, it was a bribe. It was a bribe because he has to approve the merger, which he just did today or yesterday. He has to approve the merger of Paramount and Skydance. And he will not let that go through because Trump is petty and everything. He will not let that go through unless you pay him the bribe. So he did it. And so they did it. They paid him the bribe. He then lets the merger go through. But obviously, what was also said in backroom deals is that he didn't want Colbert around anymore. And so Paramount and CBS, within 3 days of Colbert making fun of this bribe, announced that they're not just getting rid of Colbert, they're getting rid of the entire Late Show. The entire genre is going to be wiped from television. And they claim it's a financial decision. Now, ironically, no, it's not. They're like, oh, it wasn't making us enough money. Bullshit. That's not the reason. The real reason is a financial decision, though. They wanted their merger to go through. So they got rid of Colbert, which is what Trump wanted. And I assume it was said in backroom dealings, get rid of Colbert, I'll make the merger go through. There's no evidence that it was said, but I bet you it was said. Anyway, but here's the aspect. That's the aspect you can get from, CNN or whatever. The take on it. Here's some larger points that you won't really get. For one, this has happened before, where the U.S. government has gotten TV shows axed. Not just TV shows, but the entire channel banned around the world, including the YouTube channels, banned around the world. All the videos, thousands of episodes of various shows erased from the world. That has happened. The U.S. government has done that before. And I don't know when it was. I think it was like 2022. And I think there might have been a show called Redacted at Night at that channel. I can't recall. But yes. And guess what? When that happened, and I know I'm not as big and famous as Colbert, but when that happened, not a peep from your mainstream media. All these liberal outlets with their hair on fire. Jon Stewart, MSNBC, NPR, all these shows with their hair on fire over Colbert. Not a peep about the destruction of an entire channel, including my show. But it's also happened before that. And I see someone in the chat is ahead of me on this. Ratso. It's happened before with the Smothers Brothers, which were also, I believe, on CBS. And their show was canceled essentially by Nixon. I don't know what kind of threats he gave to the network, but the Smothers Brothers, which if you watch their comedy, it's rather tepid comedy. Like, you would not watch it now and go, oh my God, they were saying what? It's basically like little songs, little ditties about why are we sending our young men to die in Vietnam. And, and jokes about Nixon, mocking Nixon. And they got the Smothers Brothers, which I believe was the #1 show at the time, at least number one is time slot. But back then, there were like 3 channels. So, but number one show, and they got them erased as well. The Smothers Brothers, and their career never came back. Really, I mean, they continued to tour and stuff, but they were kind of blacklisted. But here's another aspect of this that you won't get from your mainstream media, which is that Colbert, yes, was or is being deleted, censored into oblivion for his criticism of Trump. That is true. However, Colbert also is not willing to actually criticize the U.S. empire. He's not willing to do what I do on a daily basis, and there's many others. I'm not acting like I'm the only one. But Colbert has never actually gone after the U.S. empire. He has said, I've played a couple of clips of him talking about the genocide, but I believe it took many months, if not like a year and a half, for him to actually do that. Of course, he doesn't use the word genocide. He just says, why are we allowing children to starve? But he is never willing to do that, never willing to criticize capitalism, really. And all of that was fine. It is fine to be on one of the largest television channels in America if you aren't going after those things, if you aren't criticizing capitalism, if you aren't criticizing the U.S. empire, if you aren't criticizing most of the U.S. war machine. He only really went after Donald Trump. And he also was not criticizing, the U.S. being the world's largest prison state, for example, meaning we are in certain ways the least free country in the world. Not referenced by Colbert. So Colbert was largely within the parameters of the Overton window, as is Jon Stewart, as is John Oliver, etc. Largely within the parameters of the Overton window, often willing to promote the propaganda of the empire, such as Russiagate, such as the Syrian chemical hoax. Just did a long episode on Unredacted tonight about that. Propagates this U.S. propaganda, as does John Oliver, as does Jon Stewart. And so they're useful. They're useful to the U.S. empire, to the destruction that the U.S. empire does on a daily basis, to the millions, yes, millions, that have been killed by the U.S. empire in just the past 20 years. Brown University cost of war, 4.5 to 6 million people killed by the United States just in the global war on terror. That's not even talking about how our U.S. empire kills other countries via sanctions. But it is only because you have a petty president who realized he was able to stop the merger of these companies that Colbert is getting the axe. And I'm sure Colbert will fail right onto I don't mean he actually failed, but I mean canceled, right onto another platform, right on getting paid millions upon millions of dollars from some other platform. They are going to be jumping all over themselves to bring him to whatever network. He may never have a show as big as that one, but so get a show at HBO. He'll do one thing a week, like Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart had something at HBO for a little bit. Do one show a week, and he'll get paid, $50 million a year, or whatever it is. Not going to struggle because he's within the Overton window. And that's, as the liberal media outlets' hair is on fire, that is something you will not hear. They will not talk about that. You want to see really censored, you come here, okay? I'm not talking about that half censored. I'm not talking about that, I lost my TV show on CBS and I got a TV show on NBC. Not talking about that shit. Talking about really censored. Come on. You want to see really censored, you show up here. Not sure who I was doing there. Not sure what that impersonation was. All right. Let's move on. Oh my God, I got so much good stuff. But I'll have to save some of it for another episode. Let's see what I want to do first. What I'm going to get in here, though. I wonder if anybody did the happy birthday thing and signed up. Patreon.com/LeeCamp or over at LeeCamp.net. I'm going to check after the show, and if no one did it, you have no idea how much that's going to hurt. Okay, it'll be, just picture me sitting alone at a birthday table with a little birthday hat on and a little cake, and there's no one else there. Because that's what it'll be. I'm going to set that up, actually. I'm going to get the hat. I'm going to go out. I'm going to buy a fucking party hat just so I can put it on. Just so I can sit alone at a table and blow out a candle and think about how little you guys love me. So I find guilt is the only way to really get things done. I did not know this. And so that's one of the reasons I'm bringing you the story. Did you know Pat Tillman has a brother that basically went through some similar situations as Pat Tillman? And anyway, this story's crazy. So this is a picture of that brother when he was quite young. This is not what he looks like now. Pat Tillman's brother drove his car into a post office, like not like a drive-in, like drove it through the wall of a post office, then got out, lit the car on fire intentionally, then stuck around live streaming it, then was arrested by police and is now in prison. Now, that would be a story in and of itself, but what I find really fascinating is when you connect that with how similar this guy's past is with Pat Tillman. He was also a professional athlete when he was younger. He was a professional baseball player. He leaves the baseball league to join the war in Afghanistan, like his brother Pat. As you know, Pat Tillman killed by friendly fire in Afghanistan. The U.S. did everything they could to cover it up and try and make it look like he had been killed as a hero. But it eventually came out that he was killed by friendly fire. Pat Tillman, of course, a famous football player, left the NFL to go join the military to fight in Afghanistan because he believed the propaganda that we were told, everything about Afghanistan. And also, Pat Tillman had a change of heart while he was over there, started realizing what garbage the war was. He still did his duty because he wanted to protect his brothers over there, but he didn't think we were there for any justified reason. That became clear after his death. But anyway, his brother, Richard Tillman, leaves the baseball league, and goes to Afghanistan, and who knows what happened to him while he was over there. I mean, I don't know whether he exhibited, none of these articles that I saw said whether he exhibited mental health problems prior to being in war. It's quite possible that many troops come back and they are never the same. And I would not be surprised if that is what happened to his brother. But anyway, his brother has been struggling with mental health issues ever since. And he's 44 years old now. And the other day, July 23rd, drove his car into a post office in San Jose, California, at 3 a.m., then set it on fire, and live streamed the entire thing. And when he was, there's the image of the fire, and when he was said he would not be given bail, he said, "I don't need bail. I don't have anywhere to live." And anyway, it's certainly not getting killed by friendly fire. This is a very different ending. I mean, I guess it's not an ending for him, but it's a very different situation. But the getting fucked up by the lies of the U.S. empire, just like his brother, seems to be pretty similar here. I would be fascinated to find out whether he exhibited any issues prior to going over to Afghanistan. I would bet my bank account that he did not, and that this is PTSD related or war trauma related. His other brother, not Pat, but another brother, has said that the family has done everything they could to help him, and they cannot they have failed in every way to try and help him. So anyway, there you go. U.S. empire just completely destroying more lives. Okay, let me bring you this one more story before I wrap up. Might as well give you an extra long episode since I've been away. I have not found a good analysis of what's in these, which, hopefully I'll have more information for you later. But you know that Trump already revealed the JFK files and the RFK files. And as many of us have brought to you, they are both not any kind of smoking gun, because guess what? The CIA is not going to keep a little memo that says we did it. So don't expect to find that. But also, I think that the New York Times and others who say, it's a nothing burger, go home, Lee Harvey Oswald did it. You shouldn't believe that shit either. So it's kind of, these files, because there's thousands of them, are kind of in between, where it's like you can get some more information that we didn't have, but you're not going to get that smoking gun, I don't think, ever. But anyway, Trump has now released the Martin Luther King files. 6,300 files on Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination and previously unknown witness accounts. And it doesn't seem like people are nearly talking about this as much as JFK and RFK. But let me just lead with this. In case you're new to digging into the MLK assassination, MLK 100% not killed by James Earl Ray. And you just read one book on it, and you will know without a question mark that he was not killed by James Earl Ray. And in fact, the only trial that was ever held for the death of Martin Luther King Jr. in 1999 found that he was killed by Lloyd Jowers, who was in his 90s at the time of the trial and died soon after. Maybe he died during the trial, I can't remember. But anyway, they found that he was guilty along with a conspiracy with government agencies, because Lloyd Jowers actually did not pull the trigger. What they testified to, and Lloyd Jowers admitted to in court because he was in his later 90s, was that he helped basically give a location for the shooting, because they shot outside the back of his grill, which, his bar, which the back door pointed straight at where our MLK's balcony. And so he helped give a location, and he helped dispose of the rifle. And other witnesses testified that he had the rifle after the shooting, and he broke it down and got rid of it, as did he. But the actual shooter, if you read The Plot to Kill King, was likely a Memphis police officer, but was working at the behest of Hoover and the FBI and others. James Earl Ray was set up for this, and long-term setup. The way they were doing it back then, and maybe they do it now, is that they would set up these patsies well in advance, and they had many of them, none of which you'll ever hear about unless they were ultimately used. So they set up a bunch of these patsies. They were criminals, either criminals or former military, that they could easily manipulate, could easily move around. Lee Harvey Oswald was former military, and he'd been connected to military intelligence. And if they told him to go somewhere, he'd go there. So they could move him around to put in the pieces of, he was seen here, and he was seen there, and he was seen doing this. Well, yeah, they could tell him to do those things quite easily. They could tell him to go to the book depository with a rifle, and he's military intelligence. He's going, okay, that's my job. But anyway, so Lee Harvey Oswald, by the way, the only time he ever admitted he ever said he did it was when he was first arrested. By the way, he ran, and they eventually arrested him, I think, in London. And he says he didn't do it. And then he's told by his lawyer, the only way he'll get a trial is if he says he did it, and then he'll get to plead his innocence at trial. And by all accounts, was not a bright man. And so he agreed to it. He said, okay, if I get to plead my innocence at trial, fine. So he signs a piece of paper saying he did it. No trial. They lock him up forever. And ever since that day, like the moment after he realized he wasn't going to get a trial, said he didn't do it, didn't do it, didn't do it, didn't do it. And even the King family knows he didn't do it. And the King family has said he didn't do it. Anyway, so these papers that they're willing to release are largely just going to try and corroborate what they want to tell us, which is James Earl Ray did it. And what I find funny is one of the things, it's one of the things they found in these files is that a Texas man says he saw someone practicing with his rifle in the days prior to the killing. And he said he and his son went fishing, blah, blah, blah. They were approaching a fishing hole. They saw a man shooting a rifle at a target 40 yards away. He and his son parked their car. The man with the rifle, which he observed to have a lever action, started talking to them. The man said he was bore sighting the rifle, meaning, making sure the sight was straight. They talked about fishing, hunting. The man did not talk with an accent and gave the impression of not being from the area. The man was dressed in blah, 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 5'10", 175 pounds. When Meyer observed, and this is the part they're claiming, so they're saying this shows that he saw James Earl Ray. When he was observed photographs of James Earl Ray, basically authorities said, "Is this the man you saw?" He said no. But then eventually, when there's a photo with glasses on, he says maybe that could be the same as James Earl Ray. And he says he does not believe he could identify the man if he saw him again. And so they're using this to say, oh, yeah, they saw James Earl Ray practicing with his rifle. It's like, no, that's not what the guy said at all. Anyway, the CIA monitored Cuba's response to MLK's death. Big shocker there. Man threatened to kill MLK, snuck into one of his press conferences. Big shocker there. Everybody was threatening to kill MLK at that time. You got to remember that time, MLK was not beloved by America. Most Americans had believed the propaganda against Martin Luther King. And at that time, it was like 20% of Americans had a positive view of Martin Luther King. And he was getting death threats all the time. I mean, the U.S. propaganda against him was immense. Anyway, Ray's brother suggested he may have been paid to be implicated in the assassination. So in the days after, because James Earl Ray's brother said he's not very smart, but he did need money, it's quite possible that he took money to claim he had done it. He had did it. See, I'm thinking about this Southerner in Memphis shooting a Martin Luther King, and I say, he had did it. Anyway, but that does not seem to be the case. It seemed because they pinned it on him in multiple ways. They moved him around to put him in that hotel room that was across from the balcony, but he was not at the hotel room during the shooting. He had taken the car to get fixed. So he had found out about the shooting later. But on top of that, you have the shooters behind the grill who are there's these trees. If you see the earlier photos before MLK shot, there's these trees from where the shot came from on a high bank. They're up above the parking lot. The following day, Memphis, the city of Memphis sends people in to clean up the area and cut all the trees down. So they remove everything. They may have included bullet casings, but they remove everything, get rid of all the trees and bushes and everything. And what purpose that serves is that now people think no one could have hid behind that grill and shot, behind the bar and shot Martin Luther King because there's nowhere to hide. It's like the day after they cut down all the trees. And you can see photos. There's photos of the time of prior to MLK being shot and then the day after. Imagine you believe the official story. In what world does the Memphis city go, oh, that fella shot MLK. Let's go cut down all those trees real quick. The fuck? No. You only do that if you got something to hide. Anyway, William Pepper wrote the book, The Plot to Kill King. You should absolutely read it if you want to get all the details. William Pepper died recently, I think last year. And I interviewed him once on Redacted Tonight. And he also was MLK's lawyer and friend for his last year of life. He also was the lawyer for the King family when they brought the lawsuit in 1999. So perhaps no one has more information on the death of Martin Luther King than Pepper. But anyway, I wanted to bring all this back up to say that these files are now out. I obviously have not had time to review all these files. As with the other files, they dump. It's 6,000 files, 6,300 files, but I think it's like 24,000 pages. But they dump them all on people, and you've got to be very informed on all of these people's names and everything to even be able to read them. But then on top of that, a lot of them, they're not clear and they're poor photocopies. So it's almost as if it's designed for us not to figure out what happened. But it's interesting. Trump has revealed tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of pages of documentation on JFK, MLK, and RFK. And yet Epstein, not as much information. I'm unclear on why that would be. I don't know why. Not as much information on Epstein. By the way, if you want to see my video on the top 9 people who have mysteriously died in Epstein's orbit, I just did that video this past Wednesday. It's up at youtube.com/Moment of Clarity and everywhere else. And I will see you. My schedule is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. I'm back, baby. I'll see you Monday. Keep fighting.